This video has been produced for the use of all students enrolled in the EPO 322 Diesel Engineering 2 simulation course held at Cal Maritime. This tutorial covers how to complete Lesson 5 using the Kongsberg Diesel Simulator. In this scenario, we are going to be getting the engine, or we're going to maneuver out to sea. So in Lesson 4, we left the vessel ready for standby engines, and we have been told that the engine we're going to be getting underway shortly. So we're going to be taking the turning gear out and go ahead and test this on air. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to put kind of a maintenance thing, is we need to put the heat on the oily water separator, because this tank needs to be heated up to at least 65 C for us to put it in automatic. The reason for that is that this ship burns heavy fuel oil, and that heavy fuel oil is going to be in your bilge, and when it's sucked up by the bilge pump, that can ball up inside this oily water separator. So you want it hot enough that that remains fluid. The other job that we have to do is we're going to need to get the shaft generator ready to go and to make sure that it's clutched in. This clutch, it's an air clutch that's just like you're used to on the training vessel. And it needs to be clutched in right away, because if you forget and the main engine's turning because you're maneuvering, if you're over 30 RPM, it would not let you engage it because you'll burn the clutch. And it wouldn't be good practice to engage it anyway for that reason. So let's start in. All right, so we just put the electric heater on. Then we're going to go to the shaft generator, and we're going to put the air on the clutch. You have to put it in local, tell it to connect, and then put it back in remote. We need the auxiliary power on, and we have to wait until we get a ready light. And then we start our pony motor that brings the synchronous condenser up to speed. It takes time. It comes up to near 1800. The pony motor is de-energized, and the synchronous motor is locked on frequency at 1800 RPM. The other thing we have to do at this point is go to shaft generator. Your excitation is on, but you need to adjust it to a reasonable number. Okay, so we're just going to let that spin up and just sit idle. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to get the main engine ready. Let's go to virtual view. Stop the turning gear. Verify that the shaft is stopped, which it has. Disengage the turning gear. And let's go put our auxiliary blowers on. So automatic control on the auxiliary blowers. Kind of have to hit it right there, and she switched over. Then we'll have to wait for the bridge to give us permission to roll this main engine on air. You wouldn't want to do that until you have permission from the bridge, and actually from the captain. Captains typically want to have a tug alongside with lines on the ship prior to rolling over the engine. And you don't want to put air on the engine until you have the actual okay. So we have authorization from the bridge to roll the engine over. So we'll go to the start air system, and only one of the main air bottles is ready for service, or excuse me, is supplying air. So we'll put the number 2 bottles. Most captains are going to want to maneuver out with, that was strange. So let's go to main engine. We'll back out here. We'll put our start air to the main. It's on the back side of the engine, up on this deck. There's our start air to the main engine. Okay. All right, and then we have to go to process directory, maneuvering system, and open up our block valves. Go back. All right, so at this point we can roll the main engine over on air. You got to make sure that your rack is at 0. On an actual vessel, I'd hold down the stop button just to make sure that there would be no fuel delivery, but we can't in the simulator hold 2 buttons at one time. So we're in a head, by the way. We're gonna roll it over on a head. Just hold it down until you see the engine RPM come up, and then release. Now you also should have the on the other screen, because you have 2 screens, the closed caption video or TV, so that you can watch the indicator cocks and make sure that there's no water coming out. I've switched to the astern direction, and I'm going to hit the start button, and I'm going to want to make sure that my astern, all of these for the fuel pump links, they all shift, and that I am going in the right direction. Hold it down. See them shift. Going in the right direction. Go ahead and release. Okay. So we have rolled the engine over a head and a stern to make sure there's no water in the cylinders and that the engine is free to turn. I'm going to check my ventilation at this point. I'm in a little bit of a vacuum. I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 fans on. And then I'm going to go close my indicator cocks. Make sure that you're careful and you're not in a hurry here, that you actually can see to make sure that each one of these close. If you fail to close one and you start the main engine up, what's going to happen is you're going to be blowing fire into the engine room, and your smoke alarms are going to go off, which is kind of a major thing when you're maneuvering. Okay, let's go back to the local stand. All right, the bridge is requesting standby at this time, and we're going to be maneuvering right away from the local control stand. We've got standby. And standby stop. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this ready, and I'm going to open the rack up, not all the way up to the start, but about 3/4 there. And I am getting a dead slow astern, so I make sure I'm in the astern direction and hit the start. Now, they're going to be test firing the engine most likely. So hold it down, the RPM comes up, release, and we are holding 30 RPM. Getting up a little bit high. Now, if you want to know what your RPM you're supposed to be doing for dead slow astern, it's 30. We're getting a stop. To stop it, all I have to do is hold the stop button down and watch until that cuts off the fuel delivery. So we're stop. We're getting a dead slow ahead. Go ahead and answer the alarm, switch it. Hold. All our cams have shifted. We're rolling. Yep, there they did. They shifted, and we're rolling ahead. A little bit on the high side. I'm going to slow that down just a tad. Oh, we're already getting a stop. So hold the stop down. All right. So what's going on is that this is normal for the bridge, that they test the operation of the plant to make sure that they can answer bells, and they'd be pulling us off the dock right now. And we're going to wait until we get word, or on the telegraph of another bell. And one of the things that I want you to think about and remember is that your major concern on this is that you are making sure that the main engine is operating properly. And so you're going to be testing lube oil and looking at everything on the main engine as you maneuver out. Okay. All right, so the captain is requesting power on the bow thruster. First thing you do is you go to panel directory, go to generator control, and you notice you have 2 generators on the line, and this one is in standby. Just go ahead and put it in alert. Once the captain starts using the bow thruster, number 2 will come up on the line, and in alert mode it means that it will not take any of these 3 out. All the generators, once they come on, they won't drop back out again. And that is to ensure that you have enough power and that the bow thruster doesn't overload you. So we've got that done first, then go to main switchboard starters. Let's go ahead and put our bow thruster, power to the bow thruster, and let's go back and see if we can, in case we have a bell. Okay. Now, one thing on this I will point out with you too, though, is what happens is you can go to ship course control, and there the bridge just started the bow thruster, and that's coming up. And then when they change the pitch, that is going to change the load on the engine. So we'll wait. Or excuse me, not on the engine, on the generators. Okay, we've got dead slow astern. Answer the bell, check what speed you've got. Dead slow astern is 32 RPM. So we'll go ahead, and I still have my rack set up correctly. Go astern, hold her down. Make sure that your fuel links shift to the astern direction and that she's rotating in the astern. I'm on. Okay. All right. When you release, if it continues to run, you've got her. Now you notice we're a little bit high here, so I'm going to back off. Once the engine starts, then you have to adjust it. This isn't set to a speed. You have to adjust it. Just bring it down slowly until you think you're about the right place. Let's kind of take a look. A little on the, I went too far. So let's go back. If I don't catch it pretty soon, the engine's gonna die. And you just adjust your rack by hand. Now, on this, you can definitely overdo. Typically, in your maneuvering speeds, while you're maneuvering up until about half a head, you should be okay. You can move it fairly quickly. But going from half to full, you have to take it a little bit easy. I'm not at 32, so I need to adjust again. And the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is you do not want to be in the critical zone. So one of the things you notice is half astern is 38, and then full astern, it jumps up above that. The same thing here with 37 and 48. You can't operate between 40 and 42 RPM, and you have to jump through that speed range. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can have on your other screen, you can have the engine room control up and running, and in that way you can have that digital to help you out too. The digital RPM. This seems like it's getting a little bit on the high side, so I'm going to back it off a little bit. And you have to keep adjusting it. And it will change over time because that engine's going to speed up a little bit as it warms up. And we'll wait until we get another bell. Okay, now we jump through stop or slow and go up. We've got a half. So half astern is 38 RPM. So we got to be careful there that we don't get up into critical. Pop it and take a look. And it's still a little on the low side. Okay, I'm going to call that good. I'm going to wait there. And we're going to wait for the bridge to give us another bell. And let's go see what the old man's doing with our bow thruster. And you'd be wanting to watch your board, right? And you can see that these are loaded up, so he's got to be running that bow thruster. Let's go take a look. Yes, he is. He's got it pitched up at a minus 8, and 10 would be fully pitched. So he's got it about 3/4. And again, you can see on your, oops, I've got to stop. Let me get back. Again, you're going to have 2 screens, so you won't have this problem. Okay, so we'll hit stop. And let's back out a little bit and actually stop this thing. Hold the stop down. And let her stop. Once you stop, I'm going to bring my rack down a little bit. Otherwise, I'll have more fuel than I want. So dead slow. Ahead. So I'm going to decrease this just a tad. Make sure I go in the head position. Go ahead and start her back up. Now it's going to take a little bit more fuel this time because we're actually got way on. We're about 3 knots astern. Try again. See if we can get the shift. There we did. We got the shift. We're all in the green. We're a little bit low. No, we're doing good. And again, dead slow ahead is 30 RPM. And that looks about maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay. And then again, you're going to be looking at different things. Some of those are going to be, you know, I would be, and you'd want to leave this one where you could see it all the time. I'd be wanting to take a look at my fuel system. Make sure my viscosity is good. I'd want to be checking on the bearings of the main engine, especially as we speed up. Right, they're all in the green. I'd be wanting to check the lube oil system. Make sure everything's good. Fresh water. You notice we're still bypassing, we're a little bit under the set point still. This engine's still pretty cold. The other one is turbocharger system. When you're maneuvering, you definitely want to be watching your exhaust temperatures. On those two, one of the easier ones is you go to the cylinder, and on the cylinder it'll show you all your exhaust temps. Now, if you're bringing this up too fast and too heavy, your exhaust temperatures are going to skyrocket. We also want to be looking at what our boost is. How much boost are we getting? So here's, we check our cylinder water temps, piston oil temps. Let's take a look again. Turbocharger. Coming in at 35C. Oops, I've got a bell. Let me go back. No, I'm going to have to. Again, you're going to keep this open so you don't have this problem. Okay, so we'll take it slow. So now slow ahead is 37, so right under 40. And while I was talking, the RPM came up a little bit. Let's take a look at that. So you want, that's the other thing, is you're to monitor that and make sure that you keep the RPMs good. When I'm looking at my digital, that's about 37, so that'd be about right. And it's going to slowly come up a little bit, and that main engine's going to be warming up. Now, when we're maneuvering again between, from a head and a stern up to half a head, you're not going to have too much trouble overloading this engine. But if we're even going from half to full, you're going to have to take it up easy, and so you don't overload. You can't just bring it straight up like you do on the training vessel. We can also here's your indicator panel. That's going to give us, see, right now we're doing 2 knots ahead. And this is going to also give us that we're up at 30, close to 30 bar. Fuel oil to the temperature is 120. The viscosity looks good. Here's our turbochargers. Again, turbocharger RPM is a good indicator of load. We're not smoking. That's the other thing. If you bring it up too fast, you could end up delivering fuel with not enough boost to burn effectively. We're running just probably about 0.4 bars, so we still don't have a lot of boost. All right, the captain's requesting maneuvering responsibility to be switched to the bridge control. All right, and he's also given us half. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that bell first and then switch over. So half is 48. And again, that's one of the reasons I want to do it, because we need to go through this pretty quick. We're right at 38, so I'm going to give it a pretty good sized jump. Let it get through. And then, to be honest with you, I would normally, what I would do is let this sit for a little bit, because we've kind of loaded it up. So I'm going to just go ahead and hand it over to the captain. Now, the first thing we have to do, we have to go from local to engine control room. And to watch this, you back out a little bit. And this is my governor. This quadrant here is from this wheel, and the center one is going up to your fuel link. So we've got to match this up first. And you're going to go to panel directory, main engine control, and you're going to move this stick. And you got to equalize those two links. So I'll adjust it, and I'm going to go back. Okay. Oh, I'm pretty close. I'm going to back it down just a little bit. See if that's better. Okay, those look pretty well lined up. And then what I do is you take the wheel, and that will unlock. Don't you love computers? That will unlock this quadrant from the hand and switch it over to the governor. And this little guy, the pawl, you have to catch it right on the end, and that makes sure that that cannot back out. And then I'm going to go up And I'm going to move this from emergency to remote, and you'll see it shift from local to engine control room. Okay. All right. And then now he's showing we're on the control room. And the skipper says we're down with the bow thruster at this point. All right. So let's go back. And we're going to go to EOS. Now, for the bow thruster, it's fairly easy. Okay, we can also, so we can turn off the bow thruster and also get the oily water separator ready. So the bridge is asking for control. There's a little bit of a mismatch here. We want to adjust up the same as them. And then go ahead, and you notice the lever mismatch alarm down there. Go ahead and switch. Okay, they have it. So let's do the bow thruster first. Panel directory, generator control. We're going to take it out of alert mode. We're going to go down to starters and take the bow thruster, take that breaker out. All right. Then on the oily water separator. Now we can't run it because you have to be 15 miles out, but we're either probably past the breakwater or close to it right now, and we're moving. And so we're just lining it up. So we're just going to go overboard, coming from the dirty bilge water tank, and we'll put the separator in automatic. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at what speed we're doing. All right, so we're doing about 50 RPM, which is considerable. 74 being max. I don't need to use that anymore. I've got a pretty good assured that we don't need the steam generator right now. So we'll get it ready for going out to sea. So I'm going to go to panel directory, generator control. I'm going to go ahead and take it out of auto. I'm going to bring it down slowly, by the way, so this has a time to automatically come up. So panel directory and turbo generator. What's going on? It was cooling down number 2 generator. So we'll start loading this up. I don't want to take it off all the way because I don't want it to put all the load on that one generator. I'm going to get it down though, 150 kW or so. Let's try that. Okay, and then let's go back. Generator control. Okay, so it's putting this other generator on the line now. Generator required. It's connected it up. Let's go back and go ahead and bring this down so we can disconnect. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I've disconnected, and I'm going to go to the turbo, and I'm going to go ahead and shut off the steam to it right now. Open the drain, and we're going to go ahead and switch over to the exhaust gas boiler, and we got to warm that up. And on the oil-fired boiler, we're going to go ahead and bring this down. Now, I've also gotten permission to start up the freshwater generator. We're past the breakwater. So what we're going to do on that, freshwater generator, close your drain, line up all the inlet to the feed, go ahead and start the pump up, close your vacuum breaker here, and don't forget you have to come over here and you got to put salt water on the distillate condenser. All right, and we're going to let that run while we until we can get some vacuum, and then I'm going to go back and we'll check on our steam turbine. Temperature's up. Getting an alarm. Okay, it's just the shell's not in a vacuum yet. That's fine. So I'm going to bring this up. We're already rolling, so we can bring it up pretty quick. About 50%, and this will come up to 6,400, and it comes up pretty good. That's about right. Okay. Governor's closing down. All right. The other thing we're getting right now is, let's go, well, let me finish this up and I'll show you. We're getting at sea, so we've got departure. So we go to engine control, we got at sea. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on the line. If I wait too long, it will be hard to do. So I'm going to go to turbo generator, synchroscope. Okay, frequency is a little bit low. We'll bring that up. Voltage is slightly low. Let's bring that up just a tad. We want 2 to 4 volts high, so just a little bit higher. We still need to increase our governor. And this means you're in frequency range, and that's you're in voltage range a little bit more. And at 11 o'clock on this next time, I'll put her in. We're connected. That's about right. I want about 100. She picked up some load. Right at 440. We're in good shape. And I'm going to leave her at that point because it's going to be a while for that exhaust gas boiler. And I'm going to, let's go back real quick and look at our freshwater generator. We've cleared the alarm. Let's go ahead and put some heat on that. You open up the inlet and outlet of the jacket water to that and drop it down to about 25%. Now, this valve here will prevent the overcooling of the main. And you can notice it's dropping it down quite a bit. You see how it's bypassing? That's because this should be 80 degrees coming in, and look what it is. We're dropping it down to 73. So this is acting as a cooler. And we're going to leave this like this until we see water in the distillate condenser. So let's go finish up with our generators. All right, so we can go ahead and take these out of, I'm going to put on the shaft generator. I've got 5 minutes to complete. So shaft generator, synchroscope. Okay, so a little bit higher on the frequency. And by bringing the frequency up and the voltage a little bit, 2 to 5 volts, it will bring itself on the line pretty well. A little more. And at 11 o'clock, I'm going to connect. All right, we're on. And I picked up some power. We're good. Generator control, I'm going to go ahead and make this priority 1. Let's, while we're doing, whoops, shoot. Okay, take it out of auto while we're doing this. Priority 1, 2, 3. And I can go ahead and put all of these on. I'm going to leave the turbo generator out of auto right now. I will put it in optimal mode because we need to watch our oil-fired boiler. Our pressure's still good. He's showing here. Where's up? Yeah, see how it's kind of hanging in there. It's even coming down a little bit. So I'm going to go back to the turbo, and I'm actually going to bring its load down some, down about 100. At low loads, that optimal doesn't work as well as it should. So that way I'm not going to have the boiler relight off again, which is what I'm worried about. Yeah, so, and you see how it knocked the pressure down some, so we'll leave it like that. Let's go check our freshwater generator. we're starting to make water. Usually want to, if you can, build it up to about half. You actually, on yours, on the Bear, they have a little sight glass that you look in there, and you can see this sight glass and the distillate filling up in the distillate condenser, and you do exactly the same thing. So it's coming up pretty well. We'll put the salinity control in automatic. There we go. So I'll go ahead and start it up, and she'll start to discharge. All right, we're making water. Good. And you can see that the main, we're still bypassing some water, so the main's still not up to, we're still building up speed on the main. Let's go take a look where we're at. Okay, so we're up about 68 RPM, so we're getting there. Okay, let's go check our generator. Okay, you notice it cycled both generators off. They're still running, but they have a cool down period, so it's going to run them for 5 minutes or so, and then it's going to shut them down. We're not producing much power here. Yeah, and I have a minute. Let me go check. Okay, so again, you can kind of see why I did this. We're still not up that high on the boiler, but we're going to put this in automatic control for now and monitor. So we just put that in auto. All right, so I'll wait for our 30 minutes and we'll see how we did. And you really use the full 30 minutes of this, and you can see that there's moments of boredom, and then towards the end you're kind of rushing it. But again, it's doable. It's just you don't want to preload too much, because like if you were to take and put the distiller and start circulating water to that prior to getting outside the breakwater, I'd be a little upset with you. I don't want to drink the water that's made out of the harbor. You can't. All right, so let's go ahead and halt it. You also don't want to put the shaft generator on before you get departure, because there's a chance that they could stop the main engine, especially when they're discharging the pilot. So you could be right at the end, and all of a sudden they stop or even reverse the main engine to reduce their speed down to usually about 5 knots or so that the pilot can transfer onto the pilot boat. So it's kind of the way it is. Let's go ahead and see how we did here. All right. So you can see that I'm all greens, I have no reds, and 100%. Now, on this too is realize that this is a very basic, the program has been developed, and so that it really doesn't have, in fact, you can only see the only negative being excessive run, and forgot to close the SSTD drain. So realize that with this assessment's not complete, and you can, if the instructor, it's going to be my responsibility to do an overview of these and look to see if you followed the procedures. This doesn't have the listing of the negatives. I didn't have time to develop that. The other thing, though, what you will find on this new program that we've updated is I have the ability to give you that you can look at these assessments when you're done, and that is what I will do. So you'll be able to look at your assessments even in the library to make sure that at least that you are getting all the positives. All right, that completes this lesson. Thank you very much.